good morning. Welcome to today's Black History Month in Review.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
History is often reduced to a handful of memorable moments and events. In Black history, those events often include courageous stories like those of the Underground Railroad, Rosa Parks, and historical moments like the famous "I Have a Dream" speech by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Black Americans have been making contributions to Americans from the start. But like countless other Americans whose achievements have altered and enriched our lives, these Black Americans remain relatively unknown. In many cases, what they accomplished, they managed to do against all odds, in spite of overwhelming obstacles. These people are an inspiration to everyone who find themselves in circumstances that seem impossible to overcome. Today and next Sunday, we will look at some of these lesser known facts within historical moments in Black history.
Martin Luther King Jr. improvised the most iconic part of his "I Have a Dream" speech. On Wednesday, August 28, 1963, 250,000 Americans united at the Lincoln Memorial for the final speech of the March on Washington. As Martin Luther King Jr. stood at the podium, he eventually pushed his notes aside. The night before the march, Dr. King Jr. began working on his speech with a small group of advisors in the lobby of Willard Hotel. The original speech was more political and less historic, according to Clarence B. Jones, and it did not include any references to dreams. After delivering the now famous line, "We are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like a water and righteousness like a mighty stream," Dr. King transformed his speech into a sermon.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
On stage near Dr. King, singer Mahalia Jackson kept saying, "Tell him about the dream, Martin," and while no one would know if he heard her, it could likely have been the inspiration he needed. Dr. King then continued, "Even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream." And then the famous Baptist preacher preached on of his dream. And while this improvised speech given on that hot August day in 1963 was not considered a university success immediately, it is now recognized as one of the greatest speeches in American history.
Yolanda Renee King is a typical 5th grader with an extraordinary heritage as the only grandchild of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Why is this picture one of your favorites?
Because it's funny how he's riding a 12-year-old boy's bike.
Do you want to follow in your grandfather's footsteps?
Well, some footsteps I do want to follow and keep on the legacy because some of them are important, but I want to make my own footsteps.
She's already started, last year at the March for Gun Control, inspiring thousands, like her grandfather did decades ago.
I have a dream today.
I have a dream that enough is enough. And that this city
I love the strength and power in her, and I love the fact that she's just joy.
She's being raised a king, seeing and hearing him every day.
Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
And he said it with power, so you can actually feel it through your soul. I got it.
Today, she and her family helped the nation celebrate the man she calls Grandpa. What do you think your grandfather would say today?
He would probably still not have retired. He still would have done the same work that he does, and I'd help him.
Dr. King had a dream for America, and his granddaughter has one too. Rahima Ellis, NBC News, Atlanta.
And
George Washington Carver is a well-known African American who isn't aware of his work with Peanuts. He's on the list, though, because of one of his contributions that we don't often hear about, the Tuskegee Institute Movable School. Carver established this school to introduce modern agriculture techniques and tools to farmers in Alabama. Movable schools are now used around the world. Matthew Alexander Henson was the son of free tenant farmers, but his early life was difficult. He started his life as an explorer at the age of 11 when he ran away from an abusive home. In 1891, Henson went with Robert Peary on the first of several trips to Greenland. He was determined to find the geographic North Pole, and in 1909, they went on their final trip, in which they reached the North Pole. Henson was actually the first to set foot on the North Pole, but when the two returned home, it was Peary who received all the credit because he was black. Henson was virtually ignored. Edward Bouchette was the son of a formerly enslaved person who had moved to New Haven, Connecticut. Only 3 schools there accepted black students at the time, so Bouchette's educational opportunities were limited. However, he managed to get admitted to Yale and became the first African American to earn a PhD and the 6th American of any race to earn one in physics. Although segregation prevented him from attaining the kind of position he should have been able to get with his outstanding credentials, being 6th in his graduating class, he taught for 26 years at the Institute for Colored Youth, serving as an inspiration to generations of young black people. Betsy Coleman was one of 13 children. They lived in Texas and faced the kinds of difficulties many black Americans faced during that time. Betsy worked hard in her childhood, picking cotton and helping her mother with the laundry she took in. But Betsy didn't let any of it stop her. She educated herself and managed to graduate from high school. After seeing some newsreels on aviation, Betsy became interested in becoming a pilot. But no U.S. flight schools would accept her because she was a black person and because she was a female. She was not defeated. She saved enough money to go to France where she heard women could be pilots. In 1921, she became the first black woman in the world to earn a pilot's license. Interracial marriage in the United States was banned in 1664 and not overturned until 1967. It would take 300 years for this law to be overturned. In 1967, Richard Loving, a white man, and Mildred Jeter, a black woman, were married in the District of Columbia. When they returned home to Virginia, they were arrested and convicted of violating the state's anti-miscegenation law. They even faced a year in jail, and their case went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court found in favor of the Lovings in the famous trial, Loving v. Virginia. They ruled that prohibiting interracial marriage on state and local levels was unconstitutional. This meant that marriages between the races were legal in the country for the first time since 1664. In 2000, Alabama became the last state to officially legalize interracial marriage by removing the unenforceable ban that was still contained in their state constitution in the year 2000.
this is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one, in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own become somebody's. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have, as a basic principle, the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the days and the years unfold what you will do in life, what your life's work will be. Once you discover what it will be, set out to do it, and to do it well. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are. Finally, in your life's blueprint must be a commitment to the eternal principles of beauty, love, and justice. Well, life for none of us has been a crystal staff. We must keep moving. We must keep going. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
What we appreciate about the stories of the people that you've heard about today is that not only did they have exceptional talent, but they did not allow the circumstances of their birth of life to determine who they were or what they could accomplish. That is certainly a lesson for all of us. Thank you for joining us for today's Moment in Black History. On next Sunday, if interested, please stop by the church to pick up a Black History Month activity booklet that was prepared for you at the beginning of the month. Thank you.